everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another book series recommendation video. Hey you guys, welcome back. So today I am going to be reviewing 3 different series for you. So sit back, buckle up, and let's enjoy this fun time together. All right, the first series that I want to talk about is Christina Lauren's A Beautiful Bastard series. There are 9 total books in the series, but you might say 5 of those are the main, like the core books in the series, and then the other 4 are like novellas and extended epilogues, if you will. Let's call them extended epilogues, okay? So, and I love this series because this has like found family. It has a close group or network of brothers that are best friends from university and have been together for ages and ages. So we're gonna follow a certain series of couples throughout the entire series. And even though each book ends in an HEA, you're going to have cameo appearances in other couples' books, and then you have extended epilogues. So throughout the entire series, you're going to get to see what happens with every single couple throughout a several-year period, if you will. And it's amazing and funny. It's classified as rom-com, and I absolutely love it. It's so cute. And okay, so then book 1 is Beautiful Bastard. I got my notes here. So let's say the tropes that are covered in this is that this is enemies to lovers, this is a workplace romance, and it's definitely a hate to love situation because these 2 characters, Chloe Mills and Bennett Ryan, they absolutely hate each other. Bennett is like a dick. He really is a very stodgy, stoic, matter-of-fact, kind of assholey boss. Like, he says what's ever on his mind. He doesn't filter, you know, any information. Like, he doesn't filter anything. Like, whatever comes in his head is what comes out of his mouth. Okay, and Chloe Mills is this hardworking, smart, she's completing her MBA, she's working on this, you know, in this position with Ryan, and she absolutely hates her boss, right? She used to work for his father way back when, and her father, she has such a great relationship, he was like a mentor to her, that, you know, when time comes, he basically says, I'm going to be retiring, but I'm going to pass things over to my son, why don't you work for him? He is, you know, it'll be a great working relationship, and he turns out to be the beautiful bastard. He's beautiful, he's gorgeous, but he's an absolute fucking bastard to work for. So Bennett takes on the role of the family business, essentially. He takes over and he's like the head of everything. He's never been one for workplace hookups, but he is irrevocably attracted to Chloe, and Chloe's a bitch. So she's a bitch and he's a bastard, and they are together. They're like almost like they're repellent, but they're attracted. So they find their way to each other, and they almost have like hate sex and hate hookups. And she hates herself for hooking up with him, and she does some really fucked up things to him. Like, she'll like hook up with him in the stairwell in their office, but then leave him with blue balls. And like, she's like, thank you very much, that was nice, thank you for going down on me, I'll see you later. And then she like takes off. So like, basically they do a tit for tat type situation, and they get on each other's nerves, but no one can tolerate the other one, or no one is better suited for the other one than Ryan and Chloe for each other, because no one else would be able to put up with their nonsense. So there's lots of banter, there's lots of smart, witty comments and commentary, there's lots of angry sex that goes on. And then I think the thing that's a turning point in this book is that his family invites her over for dinner because his mother wants to hook her up with someone, because she's like, she's smart, she's funny, she's witty, she's sexy. Like, there's no reason that this girl should not be in a committed relationship. And so she tries to connect her with one of her best friend's sons. And when Bennett Ryan gets a hold of this, he's like, absolutely not, because he knows this dude from, like, they grew up together. He's like, not happening, she's mine. And it sort of dawns on him that he's like, oh my God, like, she really is mine, and I need to work for this girl, and I need to make this situation right. And so the family dinner does not go so well, and it's a funny dynamic. It's really, really cute. Overall, I gave it a 4. Angst-wise, I gave it a 4, and spice-wise, I gave it a 3. The next book in the series is Beautiful Bitch, and like I said, this is a basically an extended epilogue. You can see it's so tiny. This is after, you know, it's more of Chloe and Bennett and what's happening with them. You know, they're busy working together. You know, Chloe's career is taking off. Bennett wants things to slow down. They're having to have conversations about what happened. They're having to take a look at their relationship and see what this really means. They're, you know, like I said, they're trying to have open, honest communications. And then we're starting to see other characters like Henry, which is Bennett's brother, be introduced into the dynamic. So overall, like, I was like, it's an extended epilogue. Like, I was a little bit bored. Overall, it's a 3. Angst-wise, it's a 1. Spice-wise, it's a 2. It's just more of their story. She didn't have to write a separate book for this. It could have been included in the first book, and it would have been good enough, and it would have been a nice sort of extension to that story. So if you think of it as just an extended epilogue as part of Beautiful Bastard, then it's a better take on it, if that makes sense. So then the next book in the series is Beautiful Stranger, and this is a really sort of fun spin on Friends with Benefits, if you will. So this is 27-year-old Sarah. She breaks up with her boyfriend of 6 years, and he is a bastard. He truly is like a jerk. He treated her very, very poorly. And so as a result, like, she picks up and moves to New York to be closer to Chloe because she's like, I got to get away from that situation. And as the book goes on, the story unfolds and you start to learn more and more about who her ex was. And she spent so much time and effort committing to him when he was a cheater, he was unfaithful, and he really wasn't worthy of her time and attention. And we find out that Sarah is an heiress, and he really attached himself to her because he was more of a social climber and was more interested in her name and what that could do for him than he was in the relationship. So Chloe is getting married to Bennett, and so they decide to take her out to celebrate. And when she's out and about with her friend Chloe, she meets Max at the bar. And so she decides that but at the time she doesn't know it's Max. She just meets this guy, and she's gonna have no strings attached sex. And so literally she hooks up with him in the hallway of the bathroom, and they have this encounter, but she doesn't know who it is. And to make a long story short, she takes off. He is enamored by her, wants to know more, but she takes off before she ever gives the name. He gets the name, like, they don't know anything about each other. And so through a series of successive events, he is at a restaurant in New York, and he sees his college mate, buddy, who was Ryan Bennett, and he's like, and he happens to see Chloe is with him, and with Chloe, lo and behold, is Sarah. And so their relationship takes off. And so, you know, he slowly, as is always the case, when you decide that you're going to be just friends with benefits or you're just going to have a hookup situation, somebody overall always catches feelings. And ultimately, he's the one who catches feelings. But their story and their romance, and they also bring in like a sexy, spicy kind of twinge to it with like BDSM clubs. And, you know, it's very light, but it's super cute as well because she wants to step outside of her shell and be different than she's been in her whole life. And so with Max, she can explore that. So for me, this is one of the best books. I really love this couple together. So overall, I gave it a 5. Angst-wise, I gave it a 3. And Spice, I gave it a 3. So then the next extended epilogue is Beautiful Bombshell. And this is a stag party for Bennett. And they're doing it in Vegas. So you're seeing all the 3 guys that we've met so far. And we're also introduced to some new guys. So this is just a fun time. So we're seeing Henry, we're seeing, who is Ryan Bennett's brother, and then we're seeing Max, and then we're also seeing Will, who is another brother of Bennett as well. And so it's just a fun time in Vegas, and you get to see all the girls and see more of what's happening with them. So overall, I gave it a 4. Angst-wise, I gave it a 1. So not a lot of angst going on. They're just living their lives, doing them. And Spice-wise, I gave it a 3 because they are looking to hook up in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Okay, so then the next book in the series is Beautiful Player, and this is my brother's best friend. Super fun. This is Ziggy, or Hannah. Ziggy is her childhood name. Everybody else knows her as Hannah. She's the little sister of Will, and Will is best friends with Jensen, okay? And so Jensen comes to visit. He comes to visit his sister, Ziggy, right? And he sees, like, she's a science, she's geeky, she's a nerd. We love nerds, like, amazing. She's so focused on her research projects, her lab work, and the things that she's doing, she has no friends whatsoever. And Jensen is like, this is completely unacceptable. You've known Will forever and ever. Will lives in the city. Call Will. hang out with him. You know, he will introduce you, you know, his brothers have girlfriends, he'll introduce you to them. You need to have friends, you need to have a social life, and Ziggy does just that. But slowly over time, it's a slow burn situation. You know, Ziggy has always had a crush on Will from the time she was a very little girl. Will has only looked at her like she is the little sister of my best friend. Will is a Casanova. He has plenty of hookups all over the place, and he's got regular hookups, but he never settles down, and he's very clear about what he wants, which is no strings attached. And everything changes when he meets Ziggy. So this is a fun, fun story. And so he's the player that falls for the good girl, and she turns his life upside down, and it is super fun. So this is overall a 4, angst-wise it is a 3, and spice-wise it is a 3. So beautiful beginning. This is an extended epilogue for Bennett and Chloe. And let me say, Chloe, like I said, Chloe's a bitch. She's the beautiful bitch. And Chloe drives me, I lost my earring. Chloe drives me absolutely insane because she's just bitchy for the sake of being bitchy, and she just is difficult for the sake of being difficult, but it works. Her dynamic with Bennett works. Like, they both are assholes, but they are assholes to one another, and they're dictating to each other how life is going to be in one set. And it's almost like they enjoy the banter, right? They enjoy pissing each other off, and they enjoy having hate make-up sex. It doesn't work for me. It works for them. I didn't like this book. She was just getting on my nerves, just being bitchy. He was getting on my nerves, being an asshole. I just didn't like it. So it's more of their I love all the other characters. Chloe and Bennett, I didn't like. Go take a back seat, go sit down somewhere, let Max and Sarah and let everybody else, and Ziggy and, you know, and Will, let them come to the forefront, but I'm sick of listening to you, Chloe. So that's how I felt about that one. Beautiful Secret is the next book. This is book 4. This is about Ruby Miller and Niall Stella. Niall is the brother to Max. So this takes place in the UK, and Ruby works for Niall. So basically he's an uptight executive, and she's the adventurous American, okay? And he's very stodgy and very stuffy, and she's light and free and carefree and very easygoing. So he was in a long-term marriage that was, it almost was like a marriage of convenience, but it was a marriage in name only, and he's struggling as a result of having a breakup from that marriage. So then they are in a forced proximity situation because they have to go to New York together, and they're stuck together for 4 weeks. Okay, he's very awkward after his divorce. He's never been with anybody but his ex-wife, and so he really doesn't read cues and social situations well, and so he doesn't see that things are progressing with he and Ruby, but she is so enamored and so infatuated with him that she throws herself at him, like, and she overlooks and oversees his sort of clumsiness, right? And so this is an office romance. This is a friends with benefits. It's also a slow burn. And I absolutely love her friend. She has a best friend that lives in London, and she is so logical and really helps Ruby see things for what they really are. And she really helps to talk Ruby off the ledge because he does some things that are just messed up and really hurts Ruby in many ways because he just doesn't get out of his own way, and he just doesn't see things as everyone else does, and so he has to work through that. And so overall I gave this a 4.5. Angst-wise I gave it a 4, and spice-wise I gave it a 3. The next is Beautiful Boss. This is more about Hannah and Will and what's happening in their story. This is the first time that we see a setup where the man is allowed to have an opinion, and he expresses his opinion, and he's not being labeled as, like, you know, a chauvinist, or he's not being labeled as misogynist. Like, he really does stand up because Hannah is making all the decisions and doesn't even ask or consider Will in any way. And Will is like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a partnership. And if we're in a partnership, then I should be able to have a say in what we should be deciding this together. Like, I don't just get to sit back and you make all the decisions. And he steps up and says that. And it's the first time that I see in a book where he's done, like, a male character has done that. in these type of rom-coms has done that, and it's been acceptable and it's been okay, because he needed to have a voice. Like, you don't want a doormat, you want a partner, you want an equal. Like, I don't want to be dominating the whole thing, but I don't want you dominating either. So it's got to be like a balance, and it was really well done. It was very well balanced here. So this is more of an extended epilogue, so it was really well done. I don't have much to say about a rating. I would give it an overall like a 4. And then the final book in the series is beautiful. This is book 5, and this is Pippa's story, and I love it because in this book, you get to see, and this is Pippa with Jensen, okay? And so here you get to see Ruby with Niall, you get to see Sarah and Max, you get to see Hannah and Will, you see Pippa and Jensen, this is their book, and you see Chloe and Bennett. And it's really interesting because they have everybody's interconnected, right? So Niall and Max are brothers, Will and Jensen are best friends, Ruby and Pippa are best friends, and Sarah and Chloe are best friends. So it's a whole dynamic, and they also go on a road trip, right? They go on a wine tasting, road trip type situation. And so this book starts off really cute, where Pippa is coming from the UK, right? She's coming from the UK to meet the whole gang to go on this trip with them. So she's on vacation. And while she's on the plane in first class, she gets upgraded to first class. While she's on the plane, she meets this guy, and she is a hot drunken mess, and she just broke up with her boyfriend, and she just makes an ass of herself because she drank like she might as well drink 4 bottles. She drank 4 glasses of champagne in quick succession, and she just was a hot mess. And so she then gets to the States, they get to Boston. Make a long story short, Jensen goes to a party. He's at the party. He's talking to his sister, Ziggy. He's like, yeah, they're like, you need to meet somebody. He's like, no, everybody I meet is crazy. He's like, I met this crazy chick on the plane. He was like, it's bad when you got to feign sleep for 4 hours just to get away from somebody. She was totally out of her mind. And she's like, who was that person? He was like, yeah, this is British chick that I met on a plane. And wait, she said she was, and lo and behold, she's standing right behind him, and she hears everything. It's freaking hilarious. It's hilarious the way it goes down. But so you get to hear the dynamics. Now, Jensen is the way he is because he had a previous long-term relationship. He was married, and the way that his wife chose to break off this relationship was pretty shitty. And it so happens that they go on this road trip and they run into his ex. And so drama goes down, dynamics are like all askew, there's a fake dating thing that happens. It's cute, cute, cute. I absolutely loved it. Everybody in here delivered in so many ways. So I gave this an overall 4, I gave it an angst of a 4, and I gave it a spice of a 3. So overall, I would say Beautiful Bastards series is super fun and light and easy, and it's like, it's like if you want a rom-com, if you want something funny, if you want a little bit of spice, you want a little bit of angst, it's a definite go-to for sure. Okay, so the next series that I want to talk about is by Minerva Spencer. I first heard about Dangerous from Jen from the Book Refuge, and like I said, she never steers you wrong. So, and I tend not to like historicals, and I absolutely love this. So this is a marriage of convenience is the trope that goes on in here. And so the main character is Euphemia, and we call her Maya or Mia. She's 33 years old. Her father is the Duke of Carlisle, and she basically, through a series of successive events, she was on a ship. Her ship was accosted, she was kidnapped, and sold to one of the sultans of Oran. Sounds like it's like, of Oran, it might have been, like of a palace in like the Middle East somewhere. And he had a harem and a sultan. And she was 14 years old, and obviously we don't see it on page, but she was assaulted and she was used as a concubine, and as a result, she had a baby. So her son is now 17 years old, and she had that by the Baba Hassan, okay, while she was in Oran. And his name is Jibril, the son, or in English, Gabriel. So she has been rescued, and she has been returned to her family, who is the Duke of Carlisle, and she's back in the UK, and she's back part of nobility. And because she's 33 years old, she needs to be married. They want to make sure that her reputation is not ruined. Nobody knows about her son, not even her family. She kept that completely a secret, and they just want to say that she was off at a convent and they're trying to marry her. And so basically they put together a party of all of the eligible bachelors, and they're not really, well eligible bachelors. They're just like whoever will marry her, whether they're old, it doesn't even matter. As long as they have a title and nobility, you can have her basically. And so at this party, her brother Sion is there, and Sion is very protective of her, but he's there, and in comes a man, and his name is Adam de Courtenay. And Adam is basically, he is, anybody that's noteworthy would never allow their daughter to marry him because he's been married twice before, and his first 2 wives died or disappeared under very mysterious circumstances. His first wife died, the second wife is like gone. So he has 3 daughters that he's raising on his own, and he really is like, he presents as very stodgy, and he is very offstandish. He's very matter of fact. He's like, doesn't seem like he's, you know, romantic. Like, there's nothing about him. But when Mia starts to talk to him, she sort of formulates a plan, and he basically makes a deal with her. He says, like, if we decide to marry, he's like, we would live separate lives. Of course, I want an heir. She's like, well, I'm already past, you know, childbearing time. He's like, we can live separate lives. You can live in the country as long as we fulfill this contract. She's like, well, I can rescue my son. I don't have to be living under tow with this guy. This might, at least if I get out from underneath my father's wing, I can go live with this guy and have some freedom to do what I want to do and not have to answer to anybody, and I can basically enact my plan. And that's where the story sort of ensues from there. So it's basically 2 social outcasts, because it's called, this is called the Outcast series, 2 social outcasts that find their way together. So in here, you're going to see lots of deception and lies. You're going to see past trauma and overcoming past deception and lies. And you know, she's lying to him about her expectations and what she's going to be doing and what her plans are, and he is angry about it when he finds out. But actually, through all of these things, they actually find love and find romance and find a true connection. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story, and so I absolutely love it. And so everybody's got to like work to prove themselves, to show that they are different than what they have been shown to be through their deceptions and lies. And so overall, it's a 4. Angst-wise, it's a 4. And spice-wise, it's a 4. This is a sexy, sexy novel. It's so, so well done. I absolutely loved it. And like I said, this marriage of convenience, it's no longer convenient. It is a marriage of passion, and I loved it. The next book in the series is Barbarous. This is Hugh and Daphne, and I love it because, again, this is a marriage of convenience, and it's a complicated story because all of these things are connected. Everybody here knows everybody, and Hugh is the one who rescued Mia from the ship from previously. So how this story goes is Daphne's dead husband, okay, is the true heir and the Earl of Davenport, and she has 2 sons that are twins named Lucian and Richard. Okay, and so when Hugh returns, he was thought to be dead. Daphne is now like, what's going to happen to me and my sons? Because my husband is dead. We are living on the Earl of Davenport's estate, and the true heir, Hugh, is now back, and he is going to throw us off of the estate. So unbeknownst to Hugh, Hugh doesn't really have any intention of doing that, but Daphne doesn't know it. So she's sort of, you know, trying to figure out how to tell him and try to, you know, figure out where they're going and what's going to happen to them. But unbeknownst to them, Daphne is being blackmailed by this character named Malcolm Hastings. And Hugh figures out that she's being blackmailed, but he doesn't know why. And so he's trying to uncover the secrets of what's happening with Malcolm and Daphne, but also harboring these intense feelings that he's having for Daphne. But the thing is that Daphne is his aunt. Daphne is his aunt. And so, but like distantly removed. So he's like, I can't be having these feelings for her, and how is she my aunt? And so all of these things are being uncovered, and we're trying to figure out. So we got someone's trying to kill Daphne. She's hiding a secret from Hugh, and we don't know what that is. And she's afraid that she's going to be embarrassed and that her secret is going to be revealed to all the town. So this is really a mystery that's unfolding to figure out. Somebody fiddled with Hugh's horse, and Hugh was thrown for the horse, and he almost died. Was it because they're trying to kill Hugh? Are they trying to get to Daphne? Is it because... did Daphne do it? Who did it? What's going on? It's so fascinating. Such a good story. I absolutely love these 2 together. And they just go, oh my God, it's just amazing. It's so amazing. So overall, I gave it a 5. Angst-wise, I gave it a 5. And spice-wise, I gave it a 3. You also have cameo in here from Adam and Mia, so you get to see what's happening with them and how their life is progressing, because this is not happening right away. This is like years later. It starts back when they first meet, and then it progresses over years later, so you see what's happening. So, so good. It's definitely worth it. And I love this cover. Is this cover not gorgeous? Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. So I love it. Okay, so then the last book in the series is Scandalous, and this is Martin's story, and Martin is an escaped slave from the United States, from New Orleans, and he's very connected with the French nobility. And this is Sarah, the daughter of missionaries. Her parents have died in Africa. Martin, because of working with Hugh for years and years and years, is a wealthy man. And he's very close to Adam, so he is very connected to the Ton and English nobility, even though he is a slave, but he's passable, so you can't tell that he is, you know, of African descent. But the way the laws were written at that time, if you had a quarter drop of African blood, you were considered black and you were slave material. To make a long story short, he is an ex-slave that's on the run for murder, and he has a sordid past of being a whore, being a murderer, and a pirateer. And so he's trying to hide all this information from Sarah, and he is threatened that this information will be revealed to Sarah. He has tremendous feelings for her, but fights the feelings that he has, and he's very angry and sort of just gruff and, you know, difficult, and doesn't really want to express what he feels, because he feels like a person like her would never be interested in him. But in reality, she is. I gave it a 3 overall rating, a 3 angst, and a 2 spice, because they couldn't get their act together. The miscommunication that happened in this story was a bit much for me, and they couldn't get on the same page, and it didn't happen until almost the very end. So that was frustrating for me, because I wanted to see them communicate more effectively and better earlier on, and by the time that they did, I couldn't get past his gruff exterior and the things that he did and said. So even though I still enjoyed it and I thought it was really good, it wasn't as good as the others, and so it sort of let me down a little bit. So that's that. So you guys, I think what I'm going to do at this point is cut here, because this video is going to get a little bit longer. I had one more series that I was going to review for you guys today, but I think I'm going to put that in another book, in another review for you, and keep it separate. So why don't we just cut this at this point and then say that's all that I have for you guys today. Please do me a favor and hit that like bell and hit the bell notification button so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hit that like button because it really helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and you guys are doing an amazing job helping me get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. That's really what I've been working for. So please do me a favor and subscribe, share the wealth, and tell your friends about me so that I can gain more followers. That would be really great. I would really appreciate it, and it would really help me tremendously. So you guys, that's all that I have for today, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys!